I never expected a simple ride home to become one of the most unforgettable nights of my life. At the time, it felt ordinary, almost forgettable. But looking back now, I realize that moment changed how I see people, trust, and unexpected kindness forever. My name is Daniel Carter, and this happened during a phase of my life when everything felt unstable. I was 27, working long hours at a logistics warehouse on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio. My days blended into each other, early mornings, late nights, and the quiet weight of wondering whether I was actually moving forward or just standing still. That evening had already been rough. A shipment delay had pushed us overtime, tempers flared, and by the time my shift finally ended, the buses had stopped running. My phone battery was nearly dead, my jacket wasn't enough for the cold, and I stood outside the warehouse wondering how I'd get home. That was when Emily noticed me. Emily Parker worked in a different department. We weren't close, just friendly coworkers who exchanged polite greetings and occasional small talk. She was calm, observant, and always seemed grounded, like someone who understood life without needing to talk about it much. She approached me as she was locking her car. She asked if I was okay, her voice steady and kind. I explained the situation, expecting nothing more than sympathy. Instead, she paused for a moment and then offered to drive me home. I hesitated. It was late, and I didn't want to be a burden. But she insisted gently, saying it was no trouble and that she was heading in the same direction anyway. I thanked her more times than necessary and climbed into the passenger seat, relieved and grateful. The drive started quietly. The radio played softly, and the city lights blurred past the windows. We talked about work, about how exhausting the week had been, about nothing important at all. It was comfortable, easy conversation, the kind that makes time pass without notice. As we got closer to my neighborhood, I started giving directions. She nodded, followed each turn, and everything felt normal until suddenly, she didn't turn where I expected her to. At first, I thought I had misspoken. But then she slowed the car and pulled into a small, empty parking lot near a closed community center. The engine idled. The place was quiet, almost strangely peaceful. I felt a flicker of confusion and concern. I asked if everything was okay. She turned off the engine and took a deep breath. Then she looked at me and said something I wasn't prepared for. She told me that earlier that night, she'd seen me sitting alone during break, staring at my phone like I was waiting for news that never came. She said she'd noticed the way I always volunteered for extra shifts, how I never talked about family, and how I always smiled even when I looked completely worn down. She said she didn't park there by accident. Emily explained that she had once been in a very similar place, working endlessly, feeling invisible, carrying worries she didn't know how to share. She said there were nights she wished someone would just stop and ask if she was okay. So that night, she decided to be that person. There was nothing dramatic or dangerous about that moment. No raised voices, no shocking twists. Just two people sitting in a quiet car while someone chose to care. She asked me how I was really doing. At first, I didn't know what to say. No one had asked me that question sincerely in a long time. I tried to brush it off, but the words stuck in my throat. Eventually, I admitted that life felt heavy. That I was tired all the time. That I felt like I was running but not getting anywhere. She listened, not the way people pretend to listen, but truly listened, no interruptions, no quick advice. Just understanding. We sat there longer than I realized, talking about goals, fears, and how easy it is to feel lost even when everything looks fine on the outside. She reminded me that progress isn't always loud or obvious, and that sometimes surviving a difficult season is an achievement in itself. Before starting the car again, she handed me a small card from her wallet. On it was a short message she carried with her, something that had helped her during her own hardest days. It wasn't advice or a quote meant to sound clever. It was simply a reminder to keep going, even when the road feels unclear. Then she smiled and drove me the rest of the way home. When I got out of the car, I thanked her, not just for the ride, but for stopping. For noticing, for caring when she didn't have to. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Nothing about my life magically changed the next morning. My job was still demanding, my future still uncertain. But something inside me felt lighter. I started paying more attention to the people around me. I checked in on coworkers. I spoke up when I needed help. I stopped assuming that being strong meant being silent. Emily and I stayed friendly coworkers. We never made a big deal out of that night, but its impact stayed with me. Sometimes, the most meaningful moments don't happen where we expect them. They happen in quiet places, when someone chooses compassion over convenience. She drove me home that night, but what she really did was remind me that kindness can change everything.